We had a enthusiastic workout this morning. It was a better day today than yesterday. Yesterday was pretty average, but today was very good, very competitive. Players had a nice 2.5-hour workout and have walkthroughs this afternoon and back into 2 practices tomorrow.
Aside from kicker, are there any jobs that you consider to be open before preseason camp that you now consider to be, this guy's won the job?
Well, punter. And really other than that, I think because of the way we play with rotating players in it on both sides of the ball, really, everybody's pretty much fallen in place.
So you're saying you found your punter, or that's still?
No, that's the only one. You asked, did you ask which jobs would be open?
Other than kicker, which you?
Right, yeah, just a punter.
Okay, I got you. What we didn't ask you the night was, though Grogan is the kicker, is he also the kickoff guy, or is that a different guy?
Well, our kickoff man, I think, will be Kip. Grogan also kicks off, but I think Kip will be our kickoff player. I guess that's what you call him. Handle the kickoff duties for us.
Okay. Who's up for punter?
He and Michael.
Okay, gotcha.
Mike, you're so big on attitude and body language. Is this maybe one of the toughest weeks to demand that, as you know, practice every moment of practice, because it's a grind this week?
Well, this week's a grind for them. Everybody in the country's going through it. They've been out there for a week and a half, and fatigue sets in, and early morning wake-ups and getting to bed. Even though it's at 10 o'clock, you still have a full day, and there's some wear and tear. And so these are the practices that I was referring to earlier that are the most crucial, where young players who want to play in the first game have to make it through these next 4 or 5 days. And then certainly the veteran players have to push through in order to practice at a high level, gives the best chance to win.
Most of the guys say the most fun part of practice is exchange, when they start looking at some Mississippi State stuff. I mean, you don't major in it yet, but they tend to like that period.
I think so. It's, we compete a lot in practice, and we get to that segment, and it gives us a chance to start working on the plays in all 3 phases that we'll run in the game, and so they get excited about their opportunities as an individual, and obviously as an offense or defense for the Mississippi State game.
You mentioned that Calvin Barnett was pretty darn ready when he got here last spring, but what did he do during, whether it was off-season training, last spring, last summer, to get himself ready to be the type of defensive tackle that he was for you guys?
I think his adjustment was just the wear and tear on your body, and the off-season conditioning that we go through here is different than what he was accustomed to. He was more ready than most 2-year players we get because he's intelligent and he's pretty stable mentally. Sometimes guys we get, they're not focused mentally, and it takes them a while to get adjusted to our system, and Calvin was further ahead in that area.
Go ahead, Robert.
What has Wick said about offensive line? Because the first unit would look to be on paper pretty experienced. Guys have been in games. The second unit, well, there's some pops.
Well, they're all new in that second unit, and I haven't really talked to him much about it, and usually don't until about the middle of next week. He works through different positions with players to satisfy whatever he needs and what he thinks is best for our team. We train those guys on the run, the young ones. It seems like you're always doing that. If the veterans stay healthy, then we'll have a group that does have some experience.
You set a school record for total offense last year. Considering what you got back, is there any reason you wouldn't threaten to break that again?
Oh, I think we got a chance to be good. We're going to miss Joe Randall. I mean, I don't think anybody would argue that he was a big part of what we did on offense. Jeremy is doing very well, and we're trying to identify some young backs that can help us early in the season. And those guys are competing and performing well at this time, but I don't think we've identified who that is. And if he were here, which he's not, then we would, have a chance to be maybe as good as we've ever been, just based on total number of players.
Sure.
And you got to stay healthy, and again, you got to get good quarterback play.
Since you broke it last year with 3 different quarterbacks, maybe it doesn't make a heck of a difference who plays quarterback for you.
Well, we like our system. We like the way that our offense is set up, and we've got a number of players who can move the ball and score points and make big plays, and they just have to come together as a group, and I have confidence they will. Statistically, you never know where you'll fall, but we certainly have enough players to compete and score points.
You seem to have a lot of receivers, not guys that can catch the ball. How many guys are actually in play at those spots?
Oh, there's 8. I'd say there's 8 guys that can play in the first game.
You mentioned the 8. I'm going to assume Austin Hayes is one of those guys, and coaches get a lot of credit for stars and blue chip guys they sign in recruiting. There's a guy that you hitched up on the last day, signing day, and to have a guy turn out like that, how gratifying is that?
Well, it makes us, one, it's happy for him. 2, it proves that recruiting is certainly not a perfect science. There's a lot of schools that recruit where he's from in Texas, probably 110 of them, and most everybody, including us up to that point, missed him. So I think there's hope for guys out there that go late into recruiting and don't have that opportunity. And it's very gratifying for our staff to be able to bring in a young man and give him an opportunity and see how appreciative he is of the opportunity, and then to take advantage of it. And so we've had a number of guys like that most schools didn't think, or for whatever reason didn't bring them in, didn't think they'd play at this level, and guys have come in and competed for us and have success in our setup, our core system that we have here in place. We think that guys perform better in this system or maybe that we make them better than what they really are.
How difficult is it for the late bloomer high school player, Mike, who maybe doesn't get an opportunity or doesn't break out until he's a senior nowadays, the way commitments are going so early?
Yeah, most commitments in recruiting is based on junior tape, and there are a percentage of young men that are late developers, and they end up at some of the smaller schools. And it's always fun to watch in the NFL championship games and the Super Bowls when they announce and they show on the TV where the young men are from. And there's a percentage, I'm going to say 20 or 30% of them are from schools that people wouldn't consider traditional rich football schools. And those are the ones that you're referring to that have slipped through the cracks, and for whatever reason they were undersized or a little bit too slow, or maybe had come from a high school program where they didn't have much success, or just simply a late bloomer. And so, there's an art to trying to identify those young men and give them an opportunity. We've taken some guys late and it didn't work, but we've been fairly successful here on taking guys that some people didn't think could play and have done well with it, for our team over the last few years.